Hi, I'm John Hartman from Durango Silver, and this is part of a several part series of how to make jewelry. We started with putting a bezel around a stone, and then we put the bezel, soldered the bezel to the sheet, and now we're going to add a little design around the bezel, and I'm going to show you how to do a twisted wire design today. Okay, so what I've got here is 18 gauge round wire, and I clamped it in, I folded it in half and I clamped it into the vise over there, and then I clamped it into my drill. And so now all I do is I drill it. I just twist it with the drill, and it just takes a couple seconds here, a couple seconds. And you can see it twist there. And when I'm twisting, you can twist the wire in two different directions, right and left, and it makes a big difference, especially if you're doing a double twist around a stone or a design or a bracelet shank or whatever. If they're twisted in a different direction, it makes a unique pattern. And I twist this until it breaks, as tight as I can get it, like that. Tight as I can get it. Okay, and then take it out of your drill. Okay, and then what I do, and just for the sake of saving time here, I usually twist it, put this in a small coil, and I usually put several little pieces of wire around this to hold it together. Put it on here, and then what we do is we anneal it. Okay, and with silver, if you heat it up to a straw red color, a light red straw color, and just let it cool down, it softens it. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm using a Presto Light torch here with acetylene, and this is a number 5 tip. You can go a little smaller if you want. Again, get yourself a nice starter. And I'm just going to anneal this silver. Okay, so it's turning red all along here now. And if you don't watch what you're doing, you'll melt it. So we're just annealing a short bit of this wire here. Okay. All right, I'll let it cool down just a second. This is what we worked on in our last video. And typically what you do is you put this in pickle after every step. Pickle, I use a Sparex you can get from Rio Grande Jeweler Supply. It's very inexpensive. You mix it with water and put it in a crock pot. And we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you what I do here. This is my stone bezel on a table I soldered, and see it's dirty. So I'm going to put it right in here. And this is just a typical crock pot. I like them without no metal rims here because they will rust. I've got a big one because I do bracelets and we cast, so we pickle our castings. And but we'll let this pickle here for 5 minutes, and we'll go back to the bench. Okay, just got this out of the pickle. See how it's nice and white again, and the silver's nice and clean. That makes it the solder flow real well. Okay, so you want to always have clean metal, sand it or whatever, but get your metal real clean before you put your flux on. So I use square half-round pliers, half-round and square. And so this side, see, it's half-round, and this side comes up to it square. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut the end of my twisted wire flat. These are flat nose cutters, little flat nose cutters. They're flat on this, so when you cut this, this is pretty darn much flat. Okay, square. And now I'm just going to go ahead and file it. Okay, now I'm going to use my half round, and I'm going to put a nice curve on it to fit my stone here, like that. And that's just approximate. That helps me get it around the stone. Okay, I can get a little tighter. Okay, So I got it around the stone. See, there's a little gap there, but we'll worry about that in a minute. So I got this, and now I can grab the rope and the whole table and wrap it around. Now, if you didn't anneal this, it wouldn't wrap around so easy. And now I'm going to mark where the other end of the twisted wire meets this, and I'm going to stick my finger right in that rope, my fingernail right in that rope to mark it. Now I'm going to take my flat nose cutters and I'm going to turn them around, and I'm going to cut that. Okay, I cut this side going down, and now I cut this side going down. So when I put these together, they match up. See? They match up pretty much anyway. All right. Okay, so now I cut it, and now I'm going to file the other end flat. Okay, and so now I'm going to take my half round pliers, and I'm going to just get this back so it's just fitting. Okay, and then I'm going to get these here so they fit real flush, nice and even here. Okay, and then I bend it past there so it kind of springs into each other. Okay, so you can hardly see where the seam is. Now I'm going to solder this together. So take my flux here, and actually I have a brush I like to use a lot better. It's a smaller brush. It's all burnt up. Okay, and just put flux where you want the solder to be. Okay. And now this solder here is too large here. So I'm going to use my flat nose cutters, and I'm going to cut this in half. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is actually too much also, but it's okay. This is just to show you how to use as little bit of solder as you have to. You don't have to use a ton of solder, but you got to make sure when you solder something it's going to stay. Okay. So come up to your piece slowly so that flux heats slowly or the solder will pop off there. Now again, predominantly I use wire solder, and just for this purposes I'm showing you this with sheet solder because that's the way you probably may start. I don't know. A lot of people when they first start using wire solder, it fills up, your design fills up with wire because you use too much solder. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to learn to use a little bit of solder. Okay, checked it. It soldered. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to come over here, and I got a big anvil here, but again, you can just get a little piece of steel from a jeweler's supply. And we use Rio Grande because they've got everything. They're like the Walmart of jewelry supplies. They have everything from silver to tools to torches to display and packaging. Okay, so here we go. Now I'm going to make the bottom of this twisted wire real flat, and which is going to do two things. It's going to lower it a little bit, and it's also going to make it real easy for the solder to flow around the piece. See, it has lots of areas to stick to, the solder. Now this is a big, kind of a larger diamond file that I got, at Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. I think I got a package that all shapes of files for $24. But boy, the diamond one sure do work nice. Okay, see how I filed that flat? One little area here I can get a little bit better. So now I've got my twisted wire and my table. And my twisted wire is a little bit out of shape here, so I'm first going to bend it kind of more in a more rounded just a little bit. And round it here. I'm going to fit this wire over here. Now, I like the wire to fit here pretty darn tight. I mean pretty darn tight. And so, put it over the bezel, use my same pliers, and hold it with my other finger to flatten it down to the table. Then I come inside here, and I have the rounded part on the inside of the bezel. I just go around here and snug it up to the bezel. Okay, we're ready to solder. Okay, we're ready to solder the twisted wire around the bezel. And what I'm going to do here, this is Rio Grande stop flow. I use this stuff and I've soldered forever, and I don't have to, but I love using it. I'm going to put this stop flow all the way around this bezel here, where it goes next to where the twisted wire meets the bezel. So there's no solder fills in where the twisted wire meets the bezel, because I don't like that. And there's several things you can use, yellow ochre and many others, but I found this stop flow from Rio Grande to be about as good as anything. And it works. Okay, so I got that like that. Okay, now I'm going to heat this so it sets. Okay, now I'm going to cool this down. Cool on my little stone here, my crystal. Okay, and then now I'm going to put flux around this. Put flux all the way around where we're going to solder the twisted wire. Okay, now I could just put these square things right here all the way around the edge, and remember, wherever the silver is the hottest is the direction the solder will flow. So you want to, if you're going to use this, you don't heat around, you heat around here to get the things heated, but then you keep your heat in this more around the center of the bezel than the outskirts, and this solder will flow right that way. Now remember, we have a seam right here too, so we want to stay away from our seam with the fire. We don't want the solder to flow out of our seam. Now we're going to use 65 easy flow solder. We used 75, which is harder solder, to solder the bezel, so it's naturally it's not going to flow out. But we have that safety precaution using the 75. We put the stop flow on here, and for that fact, I'm going to put a little more stop flow right here. All precautions not to let the solder flow out of the bezel. Okay, so here we go. Now, silver is funny. The silver has to heat up. The whole thing has to heat up before you should solder. Gold is different. You can have this side at 1500 degrees and that side at 800 degrees. But silver, the whole thing has to be hot. And silver melts at about 1880 degrees, thereabouts. And we get it up to about, with this solder, about 1600 degrees, and then this solder will flow. So I'm heating this up, and now I'm taking my tweezers here, and I'm just gently pushing this bezel down here, keeping it hot. Okay, so now I'm going to raise the temperature up just a little bit here and watch my solder. And I use this solder as a pick. It just is so easy for me to use. Okay, she's soldered. That's it. That's the beauty of wire solder. Now what I'm doing is I'm going around here getting a little extra hot, and that solder has flowed all the way around that twisted wire there. Okay, so now what we're going to do, see how dirty it is? That's from the stop flow and the flux. It's filthy dirty now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go scrub this and pickle it. So it's cooled down substantially. I'm cooling it down a little bit more. I'm going to cool it way down. Okay. So, okay, now I'm scrubbing this off with the jeweler's scrub brush, which I got from Rio Grande. And what I'm scrubbing it for mainly is to get that stop flow off there. The pickle doesn't seem to get the stop flow off, so I give it a little help and brush it off with a stiff brush here. Okay, I just pickled this, and notice how nice and clean it is and white the silver is. Okay, now I'm using this is a general pair of shears. Look at them, and when you see them in Rio Grande, these are the ones they're the best all-around shear for working with silver, lightweight silver like tables and stuff like this. Anyway, I use a flat, and they'll go around corners. You don't need a curved one, just use flat. It has you can come right up to your piece and cut your design out real easy. Okay. I'm cutting as close as I can get to that twisted wire, so I don't have to file anymore than I have to. Okay. And now I'm just going to I've got a pair of flat nose pliers, little flat nose pliers. I'm just going around here and straightening up that silver if it got bent a little bit or what have you. Now I'm taking my file. Okay, I got to show you, I have a little cheating device here, and you might like to get one of these. This is a 42-inch, I believe it's a 42-inch, 1-inch belt sander, and I just go around here and I sand it, start sanding almost to the twisted wire. Sure is nice to have this machine. Probably one of the best investments you'll make for your shop. I think they're less than $100. 60 bucks at Harbor Freight or so. I think Dylan bought one for $60 3-4 years ago, and he still uses it today. So now I'm taking my file. That left a burr on this, and I'm filing all the way around. Okay. Now, I recommend to anybody who's doing fine work to use a visor. This is a visor, Optivisor from Rio Grande, and I have poorly bad eyesight, and this is a 7. I think I could really be using a 5, but for someone with you know, pretty good eyesight, I'd say a 3 would be a good 3. Bad eyesight up to a 7. Okay, and you could wear your glasses right along with it if you want. But boy, now I can really see. Now I can really see what I've got here and what I'm filing. And I'm going to file the rest of the way right up to my twisted wire. And that little belt sander over there just made this job so easy. And with this visor, I can see exactly when I've got that back table sheet right up to the twisted wire. Okay. Now, this is where you could stop. This could be your table, okay, and with twisted wire going around it, you could stop here and go on with whatever you're going to do with your piece. In this case, we're making a ring, and we're going to make the shanks. But I'm going to go one step further here. I'm going to use a triangle file. Okay, this is a triangle file here, and I'm going to go all the way around this, and see right here, you can see where the twisted wire meets the table. I'm going to make a notch here. Everywhere where it goes hits the table, all the way around, I'm going to file the table. And it's just a little extra thing, but to me it makes a big difference. I'm going to file all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around here, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to round each side so it fits really nice here. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and show you the piece. We'll round it in, go in the other direction. You can see what I did. I filed the rope all the way back into the bottom edge of the sheet here. And so you can see it's all nice rounded all the way around here. And this is where I'm going to leave you. I'm going to go back to my buffing machine, and I'm just going to lightly buff this. Well, come on back. You don't need this elaborate of a buffing machine, but we do a lot of buffing around here. So we have one for bobbing or tripling, cutting. We have one for polishing. We have inside ring buffs for inside. And then we have another wheel that we use for steel wool. We steel wool sometimes in the shanks of men's rings. They tend to like it that way. And then this is just a finished clean buff. So all I'm going to do for this here is I'm going to go around here and just take the scratches from the file out of here. And you should always wear safety glasses, and these glasses that I'm wearing, this hood, works as great safety glasses for me. Always wear safety glasses, because you never know if something's going to fly. And so now look at my twisted wire. See how nice it is? Beautiful, huh? Okay, that's it. So the next video, we're going to make a couple ring shanks, and we're going to solder them on here, and we're going to buff it and set the stone and finish the ring, and that'll be it. So this is John Hartman from Durango Silver, and I would appreciate if you like this video to give us a thumbs up and like us. Okay, we like you.